Chapter 12. Something Familiar. In another room, not far from the library, Lizzie and Hama are sweating profusely and panting heavily. They're strapped into the custom rigs on site and are running scenarios, drills, and mock battles with specific key points. Inside the VR program, they are in their feral forms. Lizzie looks like Lizzie and Hama looks like Poet. Standing before them is a huge, blood-soaked dragonkin with two sharp black horns atop its head. Its red and orange scales cover most of its body, and its powerful tail sways back and forth aggressively as it waits for them to attack. Snarling angrily, smoke and fumes pour from its nose and mouth. It is standing alone with a dozen or so bodies strewn about it. They once stood beside the dragonkin to defend and support it, but at this point, Lizzie and Hama have just finished taking them all out. "Nice work, Lizzie," Hama shouts between breaths. "Thanks, Poet. You too," she responds. "But we ain't done yet, you know?" "Oh, I know it, but I just have to say, all that dodging you did was amazing," Hama exclaims. "Well, I'm glad you were tearing them down as they kept missing me," Lizzie states. Then she confesses, "This constant pushing for increased reaction time and tandem combat is brutal." Hama laughs slightly. "Yeah, the hits we take for missing either a dodge or an attack are pretty harsh. The heightened pain sim is terrible too," Lizzie whines, as she gently rubs a bleeding gash in her right leg. Then she pushes the pain below and refocuses her anger towards the heavily injured dragonkin as it hunches down on all fours. Suddenly it roars and launches itself towards Hama, swiping viciously with its long arms. Hama blocks the attack with her hammer, but the impact of the powerful attack knocks her back. She falls to the ground and rolls to a stop 15 feet away. Immediately following the attack, Lizzie slashes down violently with both of her daggers. The blades sink deep into the enemy's exposed shoulder and slides down the full length from top to bottom. Instantly, blood gushes from the deep lacerations, and its arm goes limp due to severed tendons. The dragonkin shrieks in pain and spins backwards, sweeping low with its tail to bash the crouching kitty. Before the tail can connect with its feline target, she leaps swiftly up into a backflip, attempting to put some distance between herself and the scaly beast. However, it follows through with a crushing backhand, which connects directly, slamming hard into her right ribcage. The devastating impact causes her upper and lower extremities to fold inwards towards each other, and she is thrown into a rock 20 feet away. "Lizzie!" Hama shouts as she flexes every muscle in her body, swinging her big hammer up deep into the dragonkin's exposed chin. The attack shatters the bones in its lower jaw and smashes halfway through the lower part of its skull. The head flies back violently, and the body shakes and takes off 8 or so feet in the air, cuts a full backflip. The dragonkin falls to the ground with a heavy thud and convulses violently for a few seconds, until at last it grows still. "Lizzie!" Hama cries out. "My ribs!" Lizzie moans. "And my back!" Then she coughs up some blood. "He folded me in half, sideways." Angry and in pain, she shouts, "Fuck!" as she holds her right side. "Are you okay?" Hama asks. "My ribs are broken," she answers, whining in pain. Then she gasps for air and continues, "And it's difficult to breathe." Suddenly she laughs and flashes a bloody smile, but then she spits out some blood. Hama smashes the horns with her hammer, breaking them off clean. She walks over to them and picks them up, Then she walks past the corpse and spits on it as she passes by. She walks up to Lizzie, who is still curled up dealing with the pain. "Here," Hama states, holding out the 2 pointy black trophies of this hard-earned victory. "You've earned these horns, girl. They should make some fantastic daggers with the right crafter," she explains, winking. "That should be the end of this run. I'd say it's time to heal up." They look around and notice a chest in the back of the cave. "There!" Lizzie shouts, then winces again, grabbing her side. "I've got it, kitty," Hama insists. She runs over, opens the chest, and finds a few interesting items inside. She immediately grabs a large bottle of glowing red liquid, pops the cork, and runs it over to Lizzie. "Here you go," she urges, handing her the bottle. Lizzie chugs the red liquid desperately, and her wounds immediately fade away, and the sensation of pain slowly dissipates. Lizzie inhales deeply, filling her lungs with fresh air. Then she exhales and exclaims, "Oh my God! Thank you so much, Hama." She lays back on the ground and takes a moment to appreciate the feeling of not being in such pain. As Lizzie lays there, Hama returns to the chest and fetches the rest of the loot. She pulls out a pouch filled with silver and gold coins, a large purple crystal, and some random pieces of leather and cloth armor. "Not a bad haul," the gray and white wolf girl says. Next, she reaches down and pulls out a flashy sword. "Cool weapon. Not my style, though." She tosses it to Lizzie, who reaches up and catches it without looking. "I'll take it," she claims as she leaps up and raises her tail. "I like it." Then they both look around and find a hole in a wall about 30 feet to the west. So they walk over to it and look inside. Unfortunately, it's dark inside and nothing can be seen. Lizzie looks at Hama and says, "I'll scout it out." "Be careful," Hama warns her, afterwards assuring her, "I'm right behind you." Lizzie perks her ears up and listens carefully as she enters the dark cavern. Once she is completely inside, the darkness gives way to a little light, and the air immediately changes from a musky, dank, cavernous smell to a dry, urban, city smell. Her mechatronic cat ears whir and hum gently as they scan the surrounding area, and her vision sharpens to see her HUD display. Then, looking down, she sees her familiar dirty blonde feet and calico paws. "I'm in my feline appendage rig," she shouts in shock. "Me too," Hama shouts back. Then she clarifies, "Well, my wolf rig." "Congratulations, ladies," a voice commends them over their comm systems. "Caleb?" they inquire in unison. "The one and only," he answers. "You passed the last instance with a pretty decent overall score, although the ending was a bit coarse." "Yeah, I can think of many ways that could have gone better," Lizzie growls. "Still, the penalties add up to experience gained, and will lead to more caution in the future. Perhaps it will save your life, or at least some ribs in real life later on," he suggests. Then he continues, "Anyways, this next run will see you pitted against a very sinister group of purists who are willing to do whatever it takes to rid the world of magic. They believe in technology and view magic as a corrupt, evil form of power that should be purged from our world through the application of technology and modern weapons. During this exercise, you will constantly be outnumbered and fighting with the odds stacked against you. Your objective is to find a way to overcome this handicap no matter the circumstance. Multiple robotic and cybernetic units with long-range attack capabilities paired with close combat units will be around every corner. Vehicles aren't out of the question either for the enemy. But there are also some perks available to you two. Keep your eyes peeled and your scanners searching your surroundings, and who knows what sort of appendage upgrades and attachments you might find. Also, there is one hidden asset that no team has ever found. Good luck, ladies," he concludes. "Okay," Hama states calmly. "Well, that was specific, alarming, and terrifyingly pessimistic," Lizzie replies. Perhaps we'll be the first ever to find the super hidden asset. To which Lizzie perks up, "Of course we will." Then she lifts her ears and begins running scans of the surrounding areas. "By the way," the cyber feral rogue says, "I wonder what he meant by outnumbered." "Well, I think he couldn't have meant more than 5 or 6 to 1 ratio," Hama responds. "So it seems to me we could see groups as large as 12 to maybe 15 tops." "Wow!" Lizzie exclaims. "That seems a bit excessive, but we could handle it, right?" she adds with a big grin. "Yeah, from the tips we learned on the last instance, we should be able to hit the mark," Hama assures her. "Providing we get the necessary attachments and upgrades," Hama adds, while subtly sniffing for any signs of threats. Suddenly, she crouches down and whispers, "Heads up!" into her comms. "Yep," acknowledges Lizzie. "Coming from the south, it seems like 5 or 6 of them," Hama finishes her statement. Just then, Lizzie leaps off to the right, barely escaping before a rocket impacts the spot where she had just been standing, and it explodes with a deafening boom. "Thank God for the noise-dampening function of the latest headpiece," Lizzie exclaims. She lands right beside Hama, and the two girls stand shoulder to shoulder, staring down 5 ground units, with 3 flying units hovering 10 feet off the ground just behind them. The gears of their appendage rigs whirl and buzz as they crouch down and prepare to attack. For a few seconds, they hold their position, ready to pounce once the enemy makes the first move. Then Hama whispers to Lizzie, "Now!" Immediately, they both launch themselves forward at the maximum velocity their rigs can reach, roaring viciously.